I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, May the 24th, brought to you in part by Witex Corporation. Witex provides excellence in animal health, including but not limited to all-American ID tags for all classes of livestock. For more information, go to y-tex.com. Wide price spreads, and man, are we seeing them in the fat cattle right now. You know, remember the days where all the fat cattle brought the same price? They brought the same dollar price. Maybe occasionally you'd see a $1 or $2 spread, usually a premium to the northern plains on the better cattle. But now it's getting so far in between what the cattle in the southern plains are bringing, which of late is 170, and in the northern plains at 182. I realize the cattle are better up there. They're more finished up there, but my God, that is a huge price spread in there, and a detriment to the southern plains there. They're not able to get anywhere close to that. But we saw big price spreads in Yankton, South Dakota on Tuesday. Huge price spreads, $15 on finished cattle. That is way more than normal. Usually $7 or $8, and then that would be typical on some cattle that are finished but not as well finished, and maybe not in a program like a non-implant or drug-free type program. But over $15 seen at Yankton, South Dakota in the brick and mortar fat cattle auction that we saw on Tuesday there. But huge price spreads in your feeder cattle. Of course, whenever prices get this high, you're going to see huge price spreads on your feeder cattle. It would be hard to tell somebody within $40 or $50 a hundred what their calves are going to bring, and I don't envy these auction market guys, the owners and the field representatives, and those trying to tell guys, you know, what they can expect for their cattle, because I mean, it is hard pressed. You know, even if they've had all their shots are all black and they're pretty uniform, you know, you could still see a $30 to $50 price spread in what those calves bring. We've seen your grains be volatile, which is not uncommon. Your grains are always volatile, but they've been down here all spring, and then all of a sudden here they shot back up here, mostly just this week. But you know, your corn, all of last week was down. It was down 9 cents for the week, and then 9 1/4 cent higher on Monday. Well, on Tuesday it was up another 7 3/4 cent. Beans are all over the place like they've always been, but we're getting to the time of the year where it's just a weather market on your grains, and all the moisture we've had here in the last couple of weeks, they're talking about a flash drought in central and eastern corn belt. Really? I've talked to guys in Iowa, Illinois, northern Missouri, places where they grow big corn, and they said they have never seen your corn look as good as it looks for the time of the year right now. I mean, he said it just looks excellent, and then just really taken off. Your planted corn is now 81% at the beginning of this week, compared to last year, which was 75%. We should be in great shape for a bumper crop of corn if we get timely rains going out through the growth period here. But my gosh, now they're already talking about a flash drought when the rocks were getting soft last week due to all the rain that we saw pretty much all through the mid part of the United States. But it's just a weather market, and your guys in Chicago get bored. People that are day trading on your grain futures, they get bored and they think, well, it hasn't rained today, must be dry. But I wouldn't worry too much about it, guys. If you're buying corn, you know, look at a time when it gets down there where you can make some money and get some of it put together. If you're selling corn and it gets up there pretty good where you're making some money, start selling it, some of it then. But it's just too volatile to keep up with from day to day. Your Kansas City wheat was up big on Tuesday, and it was nearly $9 a bushel here just a week or so ago. But on top of having more wheat pastures or wheat crops abandoned than we've seen in well over 100 years, I tell you where this wheat is going. It is going for feed. We've been so short of forage, and yes, we've had some rain the last couple of weeks. That doesn't help right away, and it doesn't help for your dairy cows that need high quality hay and high quality silage and feed all the time, and they're shut up. I'll tell you what they're doing with this wheat is they are making wheatleage of it, and big droves. I mean, seeing the silage trucks traveling all around the Texas Panhandle in the Southern Plains as they are making a lot of wheatleage, guys. And that irrigated wheat is making a lot of wheatleage, and they are not going to wait till that stuff is ready to make a crop out of, and they're not going to be doing it. But we are starting to see some of your inputs on your farming come down a little bit. Of course, your price came down quite a bit too, so it's going to be offsetting that. But fertilizer was so high last year, and your anhydrous ammonia is down 33.2% compared to a year ago, which it's still high, but compared to that ungodly price that everybody was paying a year ago, that is some relief there. Urea and liquid nitrogen down 31% compared to the year ago here of late. Let's talk about your futures market on Tuesday. June live cattle futures were down 77 cents at 164.27. Still a huge basis there. August down $1.02 at 162.57. Your back months on live cattle were all down for the most part, from down a quarter to down $1.02, going way out to the last traded month of October of 24. It was up a quarter with very, very limited trading. Feeder cattle futures, May feeder cattle futures up $1.22, and that was the only one that was up. And they are just scrambling, trying to get close to what your index levels here on your CME cash feeder cattle index as we're getting near the end of May. Wish your live cattle spot futures would try to get closer to your cash market, but your May feeder cattle, it's cash settled there. It's got to come really, really close to your CME cash feeder cattle index, and it ended up having to be up $1.22 on Tuesday to get kind of within eye shot of it. But at 207.80, it blew by it a little bit, but I know people are looking at the real-time index, and it's a lot higher than that because it's always up to date and current. CME cash feeder cattle index running a day and a half, or 2 days behind. August feeder cattle down $1.42 at 233.47. All the rest of your feeder cattle futures months were down from 32 cents to down $1.10. December corn, like I said earlier, was up 7 3/4 cents at 5.16 3/4. November new crop beans down 9 1/4 cents at 11.87 3/4. Kansas City hard red winter wheat for July up 15 3/4 cents at 8.41 1/2. Fat cattle trade, you really haven't seen anything on a direct basis to speak of. Iowa hasn't had anything. Nebraska sold 1,500 head of a long string of eastern Nebraska calves. They're not going to grade all that well. Not really what the packers are wanting, but they give $280 for a big long string of steer calves there on Tuesday. Kansas has sold 100 head at $169. Not sure what kind of bind they were in for that. Texas sold 250 head at $170. But where they sold cattle, fat cattle on Tuesday, was at Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. Gary Marks, friend there, old fat cattle buyer that knows what's going on, giving us this information. If you know him, even if you don't, we give him thanks. He shares it with me so I can share it with you. But conventional fat cattle at Stockman's Livestock in Yankton on Tuesday sold from 174.5 to 181.75. I told you we had wide price spreads. That's from $1.50 to 5 1/4 lower than last week's active market. Your program fat cattle, either drug-free or non-implanted, they sell from 181 to 191 1/4. And it was kind of uneven there on the price spread on your program cattle, from $1 cheaper to $2 higher. These fat Charolais I'm showing you weren't the top ones that I sold you. They look fat in the ring there, but they're not the ones that yielded the best prices. They were just kind of in the conventional and actually towards the bottom of that. But there was 186 head in Yankton on Tuesday that brought 190 or better. and you get competitive bidding in there, looking at the cattle. Some guys that kind of know what they're looking at, and you can see what the market really is. Quality was not as good as last week. Two majors in there, very aggressive on Tuesday, and I keep telling you guys they need the cattle really bad, and the guys that are selling the fat cattle keep puking them. They're going to take them at steady or lower money, or just a buck better if you sell them to them, but they need them a lot worse than that, guys. Talk about your box beef cutout values. They were sharply lower on Tuesday. Choice cuts down $316 at $300.74. Selects down $215 at $281.28. Slaughters running at a pretty good clip, 251,000 through the first 2 days of the week. It's just 2,000 less than last week. Exactly the same as the same week a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. MLS tubs, your lick tubs there. Don't gamble on fly control. You can get it taken care of with your MLS tubs, guys. Proven performance. I've told you about all the distributors they have. 2,000 places around the country that you can buy those. We're doing a distributor spotlight here, and today the spotlight is on Hometown Animal Health. That's in Memphis, Missouri, guys. And find your MLS tubs right there in Memphis, Missouri at Hometown Animal Health. Talk about your feeder cattle market, your real-time index on DV auction, based on an 800-pound steer up through the middle 12 states on an auction cash steer. Late in the day on Tuesday, sitting at 210.26. Wow. Cash 800-pound steer at 210 and a quarter, guys. That's up 357 compared to the end of the trade on Monday. CME cash feeder cattle index is of course always lagging behind, but the latest available on it is 206.76, but it'll be up there as soon as it renews. Look at a sale on Wednesday you might want to pay attention to. If you want some top quality feeders, guys, go to South Central Regional Stockyards, Vienna, Missouri. They're on DV auction. Call them ahead of time. They start at 10 o'clock in the morning. They got a 2,200 head plus, and they will be top quality. Get a hold of them before 10. Make sure you're approved and bid on DV auction there. Vienna gets top quality feeders when nobody else has got them, and it's that way again this year, guys. They've got a long offering of really top quality cattle there. Vienna, Missouri at South Central Regional Stockyards. Talking about your big sales on Tuesday, Ozarks Regional Stockyard in West Plains, Missouri, 4,400 head through the ring, another 500 through their in-house video they do with help from DV Auction. Talking to Dan Hill, the market reporter there that I used to work with, and he said some of the girls in the office were calling it Black Tuesday because this is the week in the spring where they typically have the biggest run of calves. So they knew they were going to have a big run, and people tend to sell their cattle the same weeks every year as they go through. But big run at Ozarks Regional in West Plains on Tuesday. Calves sold $4 to $8 higher, with spots as much as $15 higher. Wow. Feeders, not as good of offering of feeders, but they sold from steady to $2 higher. Stick-out sale in West Plains was 137 head, 554-pound black steers. They bring 278 in West Plains on Tuesday. Denny Rezac Livestock Commission in St. Mary's, Kansas had a hell of a sale on Tuesday. I just pulled out the loads and bigger of 8 and 9 weight steers out of St. Mary's on Tuesday, and you see them right here. Included in those, the stickouts were 132 head of 852-pound steers at 215.75, and 124 head of big steers weighed 975 at 195 and a quarter. Those are big prices, guys, there in northeast Kansas. Talk about your national beef wire stick-out sale of the day, and it was Kimball Livestock Exchange in Kimball, South Dakota. Over 3,000 head of feeders there for their Tuesday auction. You look at your automated market report through Cattle Market Central, and you see your best tested weights: 592 head of 7-weight steers in Kimball, average 737 with a weighted average price of $248.17. Another 532 head of 8-weight steers, averaged 849 with an average price of 221.60 on all of those. Look at the heifers. 216 head of 7-weight heifers averaged 733, weighted average 216.68, and 505 head of 8-weight heifers in Kimball, South Dakota averaged 835, weighted average price 201.90. Excellent sale there at Kimball Livestock Exchange. Give you some individual quotes from all around. How about Beaver County Stockyards? They're a good partner with us, and they're not typically a seller of big feeder cattle, but they had them on Tuesday. 55 head of 1,012-pound steers in Beaver, Oklahoma, bring 189.50. My goodness. How about Interstate Regional Stockyards in Cuba, Missouri? Another DV auction broadcaster there and good friends of ours. They sell 100 head, 522-pound steer calves at $270, guys. That's in southern Missouri. How about Huron Continental Marketing in Huron, South Dakota? They sell 69 head of steers, weigh 826 at $221. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Tuesday, your Macrison, no BS, top quote for the day, indeed come out of Kimball Livestock Exchange, our stick out sale for the day. It was 78 steers, weighed 651 at $276.75. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.